What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Calgary Barbell for another Form Check Friday. We're gonna get this party started here. As you can see, we've upgraded our technology. We now have a monitor for displaying our Form Check Fridays. So let's get right down to it. The first one here comes from a guy named Ghana. He's from Indonesia, 19 years old. Transitioned to sumo around last March and has been playing around trying to find his optimal positioning. He wants to know if there's anything that I notice here. One of the things he mentions, oddly enough, is his foot positioning. He was wondering how to get his feet in the right spots. So what I want you to do, Ghana, and one of the reasons that I think he also mentioned that he's a little bit slow off the floor, it looks like his back position, everything's in a really good angle, but one of the things I want you to do is try to bring your feet in just a little bit. It looks like for your femur length, once you're set up, your feet might be a little bit wide because we kind of have an inward sort of angle on those shins. So what I'd like to see is that be a little bit more straight up and down. When in doubt, if we're trying to find decent positioning, look for stacked joints. We generally want ankle above or knee above ankle, etc. So let's try and achieve that kind of positioning. You can see from the front angle here, we're a little bit out wide with the stance. So let's try and bring the stance in a little bit and see if that helps you get a little bit faster off the floor. From what I can tell, it looks like your back angle and the side angle here is quite good. You're nice and patient off the floor. We maybe get a little bit pulled forward as we start that lift, but that's about it. So let's try and bring in that stance a little bit and make sure, or see if that helps you get a little bit quicker off the floor. This next video here.
Hi, I'm Maurice. I'm an executive by day and a wild man by night.
There we go. This next video here comes from Kalen. And I believe Kalen said he's training for his first powerlifting meet right now, hoping to compete in July, and he's only been powerlifting for about 2.5 months. So the first thing I'm noticing here is your grip width. We're really narrow on the bar, and I think you might be able to, or at least I want you to try and play with a little bit of a wider grip. The other things that I'm noticing here are your pause is almost non-existent. We got to learn to pause the bar on the chest, obviously, if you're going to compete in powerlifting. And the last thing I'm noticing is that when you drive your legs, we can kind of see that you're at an angle where your butt might be coming up off the bench. So let's try a little bit of a wider grip. Let's try really keeping the butt glued to the bench a little bit better and see if that helps. Now, the other thing Kalen sent was some sumo deadlift footage here. It looks like we're exhibiting some symptoms of a standard sort of rounding of the back as we go through the deadlift. You can see the lockout gets kind of sticky towards the end. So what I want you to try to do is make sure that the back's extended a little bit better, a little bit more patient off the floor, etc. We can't see it because it's from front angle, but that's what I think might be going on there. And that's it for Kalen. So this next video comes from a guy named Sergen. Next one comes from Sergen. He's doing some squats here. And the only thing that I'm noticing with Sergen is there's a little bit of lack of tightness in his upper back. So right as he hits the hole, you can see that bar rocks forward ever so slightly at the bottom of every rep. So I think pretty simple issue to fix. Just really try to squeeze those shoulder blades back, pull down on that bar a little bit. Let's get that upper back a little bit tighter, be a little more conscious of that throughout the lift. I think that'll go a long ways. Other than that, your squat looks really good. The mechanics, what's going on in your hips, what's going on in your legs, everything looks really good. So only thing I want you to fix is I want you to just tighten up that upper back just a little bit. Next up, we got a video from a guy named JJ, and he said he's been having some trouble doing sumo deadlifts. He notices that his back rounds can't seem to get around it. So we can see here as JJ lifts, the back starts to round, but the other thing I'm noticing is his toes are almost coming up as he goes through the lift. So JJ, I want you to be a little more forward on the feet. I want you to try to open your knees up, get the hips a little closer to the bar, a little more upright, because it looks like right now we're so far back on the heels that everything is displaced further from the bar than it needs to be, making it really hard to keep your back in place. Now, he also sent a video of some triples here, and you can see a little more clearly, it's a little more of a side angle, and you can see that, again, we're really far back on the heels. and as we come up, everything shifts really far back. So I want you to try to keep your knees a little more forward, actually. A lot of times I coach people in their sumos to keep things back behind the bar. This might be a bit much. So let's put those knees a little more forward over the bar and see if we can't stay out of that posterior chain, or stay out of only stressing the posterior, which is, I think, what's making your back collapse a little bit. Next up, we got some videos from Daryl here.
Left for 2 and right for 2 and left.
All right. Next up, we got some videos from Daryl here. And Daryl is saying that on his squats, he gets a little bit of pain in his elbows. And one thing I'm noticing is that when we watch from the side angle here, we can see that Daryl's really driving those elbows in under the bar. And I think that might be one of the reasons, especially as he comes up out of the hole, one of the reasons that he's getting some elbow pain. So if we can try to keep those elbows a little more aligned along your sides, instead of, as you can see, they kind of come out almost in front of the bar, or stay a little more in front of the line of your torso, that can put a lot of pressure on the elbows. So let's try and resist the urge to do that. Keep the back tight, but without over torquing the elbows. I think that'll go a long ways towards clearing up your elbow pain. One of the other things Daryl wanted me to comment on was his knee collapsing here. And if we watch from the back angle, we can really see this right side start to collapse as he gets to his sticking point. The right knee caves in a little bit, and we start to see a little bit of rotation in the hips. The biggest thing, I think, is we could potentially be a little more conscious of the feet and gripping the floor. We've talked about that a number of times. I think in this case that might be pretty applicable. The other thing that I might get you to try is just staying a little bit tighter in the bottom. It looks like we're losing a fair bit of tension and kind of hitting the hole pretty hard. So let's try and resist the urge to do that, maintain a little bit more tension. We might maintain a little bit better positioning. And Daryl also sent in some deadlifts. And what I want you to do on those, Daryl, we just have pretty poor back positioning. We've talked about this many times before, but it looks like you're jerking into the bar. It looks like we're not setting proper tension through the back, and we're also not getting good enough back extension. I've posted a number of videos on this and talked about this at length, so we're gonna kind of gloss over that, but back positioning on your deadlift is the biggest thing there. Next up, we have a video sent in from Matt Ma.
I'm 6'1", dark hair, blue eyes.
With selective introduction.
There it goes. Now, Matt's doing some conventional deadlifts here, and we can see he's getting a little bit overextended in his back. So one of the things I want you to do is try to focus on keeping the ribs locked down into your torso a little bit. We're getting a tiny bit overextended, especially as we get towards the top, both on the eccentric and the concentric, or sort of out of the top on the eccentric and on the way up on the concentric. Anyways, a little bit overextension, let's try to limit that. The other thing I want you to do is we're pulling from a pretty much a stiff-legged position, you can see there. So I want you to try and sit your butt down a little bit, keep that weight back on your heels, but sit your butt down, use your quads a little off the floor, and be a little bit more patient with it. Try to maintain that little bit more of an upright torso angle. We can see here, pretty stiff-legged position. Let's try to get to about there, keeping the weight back on your heels a little bit. Next up, we have a video, a really cool video actually. Took the time to put some editing in. As you can see, things pop up on the screen. It's all edited together really well. This video from Josh here, he's doing some sumo deadlifts. He said he's traditionally a conventional puller, but he'd like to give sumo a good go. Now you can notice as we go through this video, there's a couple different angles. Biggest things we're seeing is that he's a little bit forward over the bar, so I think this translates to a little bit of lack of patience off the floor. So again, just making sure we stay stacked, we're using the quads, making it sort of a push off the floor, and just not letting that bar pull you forward. So keep filming these from the side, and keep watching to make sure those shoulders don't drift forward over the bar and that things don't. You can see the wedge he creates here kind of goes whoop, kind of butt slips up, shoulders slip forward just as he initiates the pull. It's very slight, but that's probably the biggest thing that I'm seeing with your sumo deadlift, Josh. Also, thanks for taking the time to, put a cool video together. That makes this a little bit more fun for me. Lastly, we have a squat video from Phil Labatt. And Phil is, I think we talked at one point via DMs on Instagram, and Phil's biggest issue is that the bar rolls on his back a little bit. So We can watch as he unracks, walks out. He's very, very extended for how, or sorry, very, very upright for how the bar is on his back. So I think the bar's in a bit more of a low bar position. So Phil, I'd like to see you a little bit more back on the heels, a little bit more with your butt out behind you a little bit more as you initiate and as you lock out. So I think by allowing yourself a little bit more torso lean, I think we're gonna limit that bar rolling, because if you watch throughout this, most of the bar rolling is occurring at the top before he squats and at lockout after he squats. So we're not seeing a lot of bar rolling in the hole, but what we are seeing is bar rolling at the very top. So I think if we allow a little bit of torso lean there, that's gonna limit that quite a bit. Anyways, guys, that's it for Form Check Friday. Hit that subscribe button, leave a like if you liked the video, and ask us any questions you have below. We'll see you next time.